Think you've seen every great movie the 80s had to offer? Think again. We're diving deep into the vault to uncover 12 incredible, underrated films from the decade that brought us big hair, bigger action, and unforgettable storytelling. Movies you probably never knew existed, but absolutely need to see. Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, your home for hidden Hollywood gems, cult classics, and stories the mainstream missed. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that button, ring the bell, and join our community of movie lovers uncovering the best-kept secrets in film history. And after the countdown, let us know which forgotten 80s movie blew your mind the most. Drop it in the comments below. Alright, let's rewind the tape and hit play on the top 12 greatest 80s movies you've never seen, Part 1. 1. Miracle Mile, 1988. What if you picked up the wrong phone, and it told you the world was about to end? Los Angeles. 4M. The neon signs buzz softly above a diner that never sleeps. Trombonist Harry had just met the girl of his dreams, Julie. After a perfect date, they make plans to meet again, right here at sunrise. But fate doesn't wait for morning. Harry's night takes a surreal turn when a payphone near the diner rings. He answers. They're launching the missiles. We've got 70 minutes. This isn't a joke. The voice on the line is panicked. A wrong number. Or maybe not. Nuclear war is coming. The world is ending tonight. At first, Harry laughs it off. A prank. A mistake. But signs begin to add up. The city shifts. Sirens wail. Power flickers. People start running. Panic spreads like wildfire. Suddenly everything feels too real. And now Harry is racing against the clock, across a city that's slipping into chaos, to find Julie and escape before the bombs drop. No superheroes. No presidents. No last-minute miracle. Just a man, a woman, and the final hour of human history unfolding in real time. Miracle Mile is a genre-defying masterpiece, part romance, part thriller, part apocalyptic nightmare, and yet so few have seen it. Directed by Steve DeJarnett and set against the haunting, pulsing synth of Tangerine Dream, Miracle Mile builds a slow burn that explodes into one of the most emotional and nerve-wracking climaxes of any 80s film. It's not just the end of the world. It's the end of a love story, before it ever had a chance to begin. 2. The Last Starfighter, 1984. You were never just playing a game. Imagine this. You're a small-town teen stuck in a trailer park, surrounded by dusty roads, endless chores, and zero prospects. Your name is Alex Rogan, and your only escape is a clunky old arcade game sitting outside the local convenience store. Day after day you master it. Laser shots, alien ships, impossible reflexes. You crush that high score like it's your only destiny. And then something happens. Late one night, a sleek black car glides up under the stars. Out steps Centauri, a silver-tongued stranger with a mysterious smile, claiming the game was never just a game. It was a recruitment tool, a test designed to find real starfighters across the galaxy. Before Alex can blink, he's whisked away in a spaceship to a distant star system. A war is brewing. Alien armadas, rogue traders, star bases under siege. And this trailer park kid from Earth? He's expected to save an entire civilization. But Alex isn't a warrior, not yet. He's scared. Homesick. He wants to go back. That is, until the enemy comes looking for him right on Earth. What follows is a dazzling space odyssey full of starships, betrayal, synthetic clones, and epic dogfights among the stars. It's Luke Skywalker meets Tron, but with 80s heart, arcade vibes, and the pioneering use of CGI long before it became the norm. The Last Starfighter may look like a product of its time, but its story? Timeless. Hopeful. Heroic. It reminds us that sometimes the universe doesn't need a chosen one. It needs a gamer who dares to dream bigger. 3 Streets of Fire, 1984. A rock and roll fable. A time out of time. A place out of place. Welcome to the neon jungle of Streets of Fire. Thunder cracks overhead. Neon signs flicker like broken dreams. In a city that feels like a fever dream, part 1950s greaser fantasy, part post-apocalyptic punk wasteland, A crowd gathers in a smoky concert hall. On stage, Ellen Aim, a rock goddess with fire in her voice, belts out a power ballad that could shatter glass and break hearts. But just as the music swells, the unthinkable happens. Motorcycles roar. Leather-clad gang members storm the stage like a demonic army. The lights go out. Ellen is kidnapped, stolen from her screaming fans and thrown into the shadows by the sinister Raven Shattuck, leader of the villainous bombers. And just like that, the dream ends. Enter Tom Cody, a brooding trench-coat-wearing ex-soldier with fists like sledgehammers and a history he'd rather forget. He's Ellen's former flame, and when he hears about her abduction, he returns to his old neighborhood. A decaying jungle of rain-slick streets, chain-link fences, and bad memories. Tom doesn't say much. He doesn't have to. He's the kind of guy who settles arguments with a punch and lets his sawed-off shotgun do the talking. But he's got a mission now. Storm the gang's industrial wasteland fortress, rescue Ellen, and maybe, just maybe, win her heart back along the way. Alongside him is McCoy, a tough-as-nails ex-soldier with a chip on her shoulder and dynamite in her boots, and a wisecracking music manager who'd sell his mother for a gig. Together, they tear through the night in a muscle car that looks like it was born to crash through barricades and outrun explosions. What follows is a stylized, high-octane rescue mission straight out of a rock opera: guitar riffs, neon lights, barroom brawls, and a thunderous soundtrack by Jim Steinman and Ry Cooder that feels like it was made to be blasted through a cassette deck at full volume. Tom and Raven face off in a brutal sledgehammer duel. Not guns, not knives, but pure primitive rage. It's part Western, part musical, part comic book fantasy, all filtered through the moody lens of director Walter Hill, The Warriors. Streets of Fire never found a mainstream audience when it hit theaters in 1984, but it became a cult classic for those who love cinema that dares to dream and dares to be weird. It's a rock and roll myth wrapped in leather and lit by flickering neon. So if you've never seen Streets of Fire, strap in. It's not just a movie. It's a midnight ride through a world where the music never dies and the fire never stops burning. 4. Dead and Buried, 1981. Fade in. Fog rolls across a sleepy coastal town. The welcome sign reads, "Welcome to Potter's Bluff. A nice place to visit." But something's off. A photographer steps out of his car, camera in hand. He's lured to the shoreline by the eerie beauty of the waves crashing on the rocks. Then snap, a flashbulb goes off. He turns. A woman is smiling at him. Friendly. Too friendly. Moments later, the smile is gone. So is the kindness. A group forms. Locals, familiar faces, sun-worn, silent. They surround him. And what happens next? You wouldn't believe it. Cut to black. Sheriff Dan Gillis is the town's quiet lawman. Nothing ever happens in Potter's Bluff. Until suddenly things do. Tourists are vanishing. Bodies are turning up, then not staying dead. And the townsfolk? They're hiding something. Something rotting beneath their neighborly grins. As Dan digs deeper, the truth slithers out. Bloody, strange, and stitched together like a corpse with secrets. Why do the recently dead keep showing up alive? Why does no one remember the victims? And what role does the town's mortician, too calm, too cheerful, really play? The deeper Dan goes, the closer he comes to the truth, and the more he wishes he hadn't looked. Dead and Buried is a forgotten nightmare of early 80s horror, drenched in atmosphere, soaked in mystery, and twisted with one of the most chilling endings of the decade. 5. Time Bandits, 1981. When bedtime turns into a time-warping, treasure-hunting odyssey. In a quiet suburban bedroom, 11-year-old Kevin lies awake under the covers. Not because he's afraid of the dark, but because he's fascinated by it. You see, Kevin doesn't dream of toys or television. He dreams of history, of knights and kings, of Napoleon and the ancient Greeks. He's a kid whose head is crammed with maps and myths, and tonight, his life is about to get completely rewritten. Suddenly, out of his closet bursts a gang of rowdy, squabbling dwarfs with a tattered map of time itself. They're not here by accident, they're fugitives. Former employees of the Supreme Being. Now on the run, looting history's greatest treasures through wormholes in time. Kevin barely has time to ask questions before he's swept into a hole in his bedroom wall. tumbling through eras like pages of a mad magical book. One moment he's watching Napoleon cackle over puppet shows. The next, he's caught in a medieval battlefield with Robin Hood cheerfully mugging the poor. There are gods, giants, evil beings with TV screens for faces, and a cosmic game of chess between good and evil that spans centuries. And at the center of it all is a boy who just wanted a little adventure. But make no mistake, Time Bandits isn't your average fairy tale. It's surreal, funny, and sometimes a little frightening. Directed by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame, it's a visually wild ride through warped history, dark comedy, and existential wonder. A children's fantasy for adults, or maybe an adult's fantasy through a child's eyes. Because in the end, when you mess with time, you don't just steal treasure, you steal fate itself. 6. My Bodyguard, 1980. Sometimes the quietest kid makes the loudest noise. It starts with a lunch tray. Clifford Peach isn't your typical high school kid. He's got a fresh suit, a wealthy dad, and the kind of awkward charm that makes him a natural target. New to the Chicago public school system, he walks through the halls of Lakeview High with a briefcase in hand and a bullseye on his back. Enter Melvin Moody, a pint-sized tyrant who runs the school like a mafia boss. He and his goons offer protection from the school's supposed boogeyman, Ricky Linderman. Ricky is a mountain of a teenager, silent, brooding, a loner, and wrapped in terrifying rumors. They say he killed his own brother. They say he could snap a man in half. They say, don't ever talk to Ricky Linderman. So Clifford does exactly that. Not out of rebellion, out of desperation. He's tired of being pushed, mocked, humiliated. So he walks up to Ricky with a simple offer. Be my bodyguard. What follows isn't just a deal between a nerd and a giant. It's the beginning of a fragile, unexpected friendship, built not on fear but respect. Together they navigate bullies, secrets, and the aching truth behind Ricky's silence. As Clifford learns what really happened to Ricky's brother, he discovers something deeper than protection. He finds purpose. And Ricky? He finds something he never thought he'd have again, trust. By the end, fists will fly. But it's not the fight that matters. It's who stands up first. My Bodyguard isn't just an underdog story. It's a quiet revolution. A reminder that sometimes the strongest bond forms between two broken boys. One who needs a shield, and one who needs a second chance. 7. Turk 182. 1985. The Graffiti Avenger of New York. Imagine this. New York City, early 80s, gritty, gray, and full of red tape. Jimmy Lynch is just a regular guy. A soft-spoken civil servant with no dreams of glory. But everything changes the night his older brother Terry, a firefighter, runs into a burning building off duty to save a little girl. He's a hero. But when Terry gets hurt and reaches out for help, the city turns its back. No pension. No compensation. No justice. Jimmy, he's not okay with that. So he picks up a spray can. And suddenly, from the shadows of subway tunnels and overpasses, a new name begins to appear across New York. Turk 182. Scrawled in huge letters. Plastered across city walls, sports arenas, even a bridge. No one knows who Turk is. But everybody's talking. It's graffiti with a mission. A one-man rebellion against corrupt politics and a broken system. As Jimmy's stunts grow bolder, the city scrambles to stop him. The mayor is humiliated, the police are stumped, and the people? They rally behind the name. Turk 182 becomes a symbol. A voice for the voiceless. In the end, it's not just spray paint. It's a revolution. A hidden gem from the 80s that blends underdog heart with rebellious energy. Turk 182 reminds us that sometimes it takes one small voice to make a city listen. 8. Vamp, 1986. One night, one club, and one hell of a vampire queen. They just wanted to party. Two college guys, Keith and AJ, desperate to impress a frat, promised to bring back a stripper for the Big Rush event. But instead of going to some sleazy dive downtown, they follow a hot tip to a mysterious after-hours club buried deep in the seediest part of the city. The place? The After Dark Club, red-lit, velvet-drenched, and dripping in danger. Inside, the drinks are flowing, the music is pulsing, and the main act? A hypnotic, otherworldly dancer named Katrina, portrayed by the fierce and terrifying Grace Jones. No words. No mercy. Just blood. Because here the entertainment doesn't just dance for you. Feeds on you. Suddenly, AJ vanishes. The club doors lock. And Keith realizes, this isn't just a strip joint. It's a lair. And every dancer on stage is a predator in disguise. By the time dawn approaches, the club's true nature is exposed. A nest of vampires, glamored by neon and hidden in plain sight. Now, with the undead closing in and no help in sight, Keith has to escape the concrete labyrinth, outwit the bloodsuckers, face Katrina's fury, and survive the longest night of his life. Vamp is a surreal, synth-drenched horror comedy cult classic, oozing with 80s style, punk energy, and unforgettable creature design. It's bloody, it's bizarre, and odds are you've never seen it. 9th, Ladyhawke, 1985. A cursed love, two tragic souls, and a thief caught in between. In a time long before ours, when castles loomed over valleys and knights still rode by honor, there was once a love so forbidden, it angered heaven itself. Navarre was a proud knight, all strength and vengeance, a man who once served the Bishop of Aquila with loyalty, until he fell in love with the one woman he was never meant to touch. Isabeau, the bishop's own ward. She was radiant, graceful, untouchable, and yet Navarre loved her and she him. But the bishop, twisted by obsession and jealousy, turned to dark forces. He conjured a curse, one so cruel it made sure they'd never again be together in the same form. By day, Isabeau is a hawk, soaring silently above. By night, Navarre becomes a wolf, howling beneath a cold moon. Always near, never touching. Always longing, never seeing each other in human form. Forever apart. Enter a scrawny thief named Philip Gaston, nicknamed Mouse, fresh out of a dungeon escape and with a mouth that never stops. He becomes the unlikely thread in this tragic tale. A coward at heart, but one who stumbles into legend. Together, the cursed knight and the clever thief ride toward the city of Aquila. To break the spell, to confront the bishop, and to finally allow two doomed lovers to touch under the same sun once more. Epic sword fights. Medieval magic. A love story carved into moonlight and blood. Ladyhawke is a fantasy unlike any other. Haunting, romantic, and criminally overlooked. And if you've never seen it, you're missing one of the most beautiful love stories the 80s ever gave us. 10. Runaway, 1984. Killer tech, creepy villain, and future fears. In the near future, technology doesn't just go rogue, it kills. Meet Jack Ramsey, a weary cop in a high-tech world where everyday robots help with everything from farming to parenting. But when these machines start malfunctioning with deadly intent, it's Ramsey's job to hunt them down. They call him a runaway cop, the guy you call when your toaster wants to kill you. But these aren't just bugs. These are assassinations. Behind the chaos is Dr. Charles Luther, a cold-blooded genius played chillingly by Gene Simmons, yes, from Kiss, who's turned domestic robots into weapons, with heat-seeking bullets and spider-like assassin bots. Ramsey is pulled into a sinister conspiracy involving microchips, espionage, and killer tech that could take out an entire city. As the body count rises, Ramsey must race against time to stop Luther, save his partner, and shut down the next evolution of murder. Machines that think and kill. It's Blade Runner meets Die Hard. But you've probably never even heard of it. Runaway, 1984, was ahead of its time, predicting smart homes, drones, and AI threats, all wrapped in sleek 80s cop thriller style. A forgotten techno-noir gem that deserves a second look. 11. The Legend of Billie Jean, 1985. Fair is fair. In 1985, a teenage girl from Texas lit up the screen and unexpectedly became a symbol of rebellion and youth empowerment. Her name was Billie Jean Davy, and her legend was born. The Legend of Billie Jean is one of those rare 80s cult gems that's less about flashy action and more about raw teenage defiance in the face of injustice. It begins with a simple act of vandalism. Billie Jean's brother, Binks, gets his beloved scooter trashed by a group of local bullies. But when they demand restitution and the law fails them, Billie Jean stands up, and everything spirals out of control. What starts as a quest for justice quickly transforms into a full-blown media circus. Billie Jean, armed with nothing but her sense of right and wrong, becomes a fugitive and an accidental icon for an entire generation of teens fed up with being ignored. She cuts her hair short, adopts a Joan of Arc-style look, and boldly declares her rallying cry. Fair is fair. But beneath the neon lighting and outlaw attitude is a tragic truth. Billie Jean never wanted fame. She just wanted fairness and for someone to listen. With a synth-heavy score, a haunting Pat Benatar anthem, Invincible, and themes of exploitation, media manipulation, and teenage agency, the legend of Billie Jean wasn't appreciated in its time, but it's more relevant now than ever. This isn't just a story about a girl on the run. It's about how legends are born not in victory, but in resistance. 12. Fright Night, 1985. The vampire next door that no one believed. In a sleepy American suburb during the neon-soaked 1980s, teenage horror fan Charlie Brewster thinks he's seen it all, until one night, he notices something strange next door. A mysterious new neighbor, Jerry Dandridge, has just moved in. He's handsome, charming, and apparently carries coffins into his basement at night. Oh, and the local hookers have started disappearing. Charlie, obsessed with old horror movies and late-night monster hosts, becomes convinced that Jerry is a vampire. But no one believes him. Not his girlfriend, not the cops, not even his best friend Evil Ed. So Charlie turns to the only person he can. Washed-up horror movie actor Peter Vincent, known as the Great Vampire Killer. The only problem? Peter doesn't believe in vampires either. Until he comes face to face with Jerry. What unfolds is a perfect blend of 80s camp, genuine scares, and clever twists. Fright Night isn't just a horror movie. It's a love letter to horror movies themselves. With practical effects that still hold up, a synth-heavy soundtrack, and one of the suavest movie vampires ever, this film balances teenage paranoia with classic monster movie tropes. Jerry Dandridge wasn't your average vampire. He had style, silk shirts, and an appetite that wouldn't quit. The movie flips between comedy and terror effortlessly, making it a criminally underrated gem of the decade. Despite its brilliance, Fright Night got buried under a wave of bigger slasher flicks and blockbuster horrors. But ask any genre fan today and they'll tell you. This is the one vampire movie from the 80s you probably missed, and definitely need to see. Welcome to Fright Night for real. And there you have it. 12 criminally underrated 80s gems that deserve way more love. From forgotten sci-fi thrillers to cult horror hits, these movies prove the decade had more to offer than just blockbusters and big-name stars. If you discovered a new favorite, or if one of these brought back memories, let us know in the comments. We want to hear which film stood out to you the most. And if you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, now's the perfect time. We're digging deep into film history every week, shining a spotlight on Hollywood's hidden stories, lost classics, and everything in between.